Your brain is the most powerful supercomputer in existence. The programs running in your brain determine what you do each day, and therefore, how your life turns out. In this video, I'll explain the neuroscience of habits, why changing your habits can be so hard, and give you 3 evidence-based ways you can start reprogramming your brain right now. When it comes to habits, we usually think in terms of good habits and bad habits, but I prefer the terms helpful habits and harmful habits. Helpful habits get you closer to your goals, while harmful habits take you further away from your goals. So an action being helpful or harmful depends on you, your current situation, and your future goals. For example, if you have a goal of losing 50 pounds, then binge eating every Saturday will take you further away from that goal. It's totally okay to do something we might label as a bad habit every now and then. It's just important to understand the trade-off and keep it in mind. My point is, I don't think it's useful to label a habit as bad. I mean, most habits aren't objectively bad, unless we're talking about snorting a line of fresh Colombian snow off of an angry lion's backside. Not that I've ever done that, at least not yet. Let's take a quick look at the science of habits. Your brain's #1 priority is survival, and habits are one of the tools your brain uses to help it survive. Specifically, habits help your brain save energy, increase speed, and maximize safety. For example, you probably noticed when you started doing something new, it was really hard at first, but then as you kept doing it, it got easier over time. For example, when I first started learning tennis, I literally hit the ball out of the court, but then as I consistently practiced, I slowly got better and kept the ball actually in the court. The very first time you do something, a brand new pathway between neurons is formed in your brain. As you do that thing more, a substance called myelin builds up around parts of the neurons in that pathway. This myelin sheath makes the signals traveling along that pathway of neurons take less time and energy. So not only do these myelinated pathways make the associated actions faster and easier, but your brain actually prefers taking those actions because they take less time and energy. This is why changing your habits can be so difficult. Your brain literally resists your attempts at rewiring it. It wants to keep taking the actions that you've been taking up till this point, even if those actions aren't benefiting you, and even if those actions are actively hurting you. Your brain thinks, well, at least they've kept us alive so far. This is one of the many examples of how something that was a survival advantage for our ancestors is actually somewhat of a disadvantage in some ways for us in our modern world. This also forms a foundation of addiction, but that's a serious topic I might get into in a future video. Before we get into how to start actually changing your habits, let's clear up a few misconceptions about habit change. First, some people say it takes 28 days, 60 days, or some other number of days to change a habit. But the time it takes depends on a lot of factors, like how easy the habit is, what the reward is, and how long you've been doing it. Second, some people think all you have to do is simply decide to break a habit. But habits don't go away instantly, except maybe in cases of traumatic brain injury, but I wouldn't recommend that as a way to solve your problems. The myelin on a habit's neural pathway doesn't just disappear in an instant. It's still going to be there. And because of that, your brain is still going to want to take that action, and that's a big reason why it's so hard to stop yourself from falling back into your old habits. And third, some people say it only takes willpower to change your habits. This results in a lot of people trying to change and then beating themselves up when they fail. Your brain is the most complex object in the known universe, and as I just explained, you're literally rewiring it in spite of your brain's resistance to being rewired. So if you've been trying to change your habits but you've given up, it's not that you aren't strong enough, it's just you haven't been consistent enough. It takes time, and you may lose the battle here and there, but if you keep trying, you will win the war. So to help you win that war, here are 3 evidence-based ways you can start reprogramming that supercomputer in your head right now. The first tip is identity change. A harsh reality of life is the only predictable way that you can get something you want is by becoming the version of yourself that is capable of getting it. So if you aren't yet where you want to be in life, then try this. First, define your goals. Then think about who you need to be to achieve those goals. And finally, figure out what that version of yourself would and wouldn't do. Now this may seem counterintuitive, but then start thinking of yourself as already having that identity and start making your decisions in a way such that you're trying to uphold that identity. Start telling yourself, I am a type of person, so I do certain actions and I don't do other certain actions. This also makes it easier for you to quit harmful habits. For example, in the book Atomic Habits, author James Clear talks about people who are trying to quit smoking and how when they're offered a cigarette, they find it a lot easier to turn that offer down if they say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker, instead of saying, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. So think of yourself as already having the identity you want to have, and then doing the things that align with that identity and avoiding the things that don't align with that identity. This does not mean you can't indulge in your vices every now and then. You rarely ever have to be 100% perfect to achieve something. Ultimately, what this approach does for you is it increases the likelihood that you'll consciously stop and evaluate a decision rather than just unconsciously going along with your wired habits. Tip number 2 for habit change is to gamify it. Gaming has always had a big influence on my life. The years I spent playing World of Warcraft and Dungeons and Dragons has had a huge influence on the way I think. So the idea of gamification, which is basically just applying game concepts to other activities, has been quite interesting to me recently. The simplest way to start gamifying your habits today is to clearly write out your helpful and harmful habits on a piece of paper. Then put columns of checkboxes for the next few days next to them, 1 column per day. Then each day, check off the helpful habits you did do and check off the harmful habits you didn't do. Finally, give yourself a reward every now and then, either if you check off a certain percentage of your boxes per day, or after checking off a certain number of boxes total. Giving yourself these periodic rewards will greatly reinforce your habit change. Now, this is just a starting point. I'll make a full video about gamification in the future, so we'll come back to that. Side note, while actually gamifying your habit change can make the process more fun, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just start with some checkboxes each day. Either way, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start trying to change their habits is focusing too much on their streaks. And by that I mean something like, oh, I've done 5 days, 10 days, 30 days in a row. I've made this mistake many times in my life. For example, a few years ago, I was doing a low carb diet to lose weight, and I would do it right for a few days, but then I would make the choice to have some pizza or something with more carbohydrates in it, and my brain would go, well, I already broke my streak, so I may as well make the most of it. And then I would eat a bunch of junk food for the next few days and lose the progress I had built up during my streak. So try not to let the weight of your streak get to you. If you mess up, it's okay. When you get up tomorrow, you'll have a fresh, clean slate to work with. This clean slate approach helps you let go of yesterday and focus on today. Of course, streaks are something to be proud of. I myself have walked an average of 10,000 steps a day for almost 90 days, and I'm pretty proud of that. But if I miss a day or two here and there and fall below that average, I'm not going to let it get to me. So hopefully you can do the same thing as well. You can start tracking your habits with a pen and paper, a whiteboard, or a tool like Notion, but soon you'll be able to do this in Cortex, the app I'm building. It's a second brain app for creators that helps you capture, curate, and connect things you learn, and then create new things from them. Cortex isn't publicly available yet, but there's a link in the description if you'd like to learn more. Though, if you're interested in getting early access to Cortex, and you're also wanting to become a creator yourself, then check out the other link in the description to sign up for the waitlist for the next Writers Bootcamp. Tip number 3 is changing your difficulty settings. Changing your habits will take less effort if you can find ways to make your helpful habits easier and make your harmful habits harder. This tip is based on the principle of least effort in psychology, which says that when given multiple options, our brain will tend to choose the path which takes the least effort. Ways you can make this principle work for you include changing your environment. And this means things like putting your phone on silent or even in another room entirely, closing tabs and apps you aren't using, putting your exercise clothes near your bed, and not buying your favorite junk food or beer so you have to go out of your way to get it if you really want it. Another way is changing the path you take. So for example, not going by your favorite fast food place while you're out, avoiding going past the liquor store or the convenience store on the way home, or traveling closer to the gym or park you want to go to exercise. Another way you can do this is to change the people you're spending time with. Now, one of my big problems with a lot of online guru type people is they always say that you should cut off the people that you spend time with if they're not on your level. I don't believe in that at all. However, I have had friends in the past that were making me a worse version of myself even after I had told them that I wanted to be a better version of me. Eventually, I realized I had to make the difficult decision to cut them out of my life because they just didn't respect me or my goals, and sometimes, unfortunately, we have to make that decision. We humans are social creatures, and we usually feel obligated to say yes when we're invited to do something. But if you notice there are people who are holding you back from the person you want to become, even after you've communicated with them, then it might be time to spend less time with them. Another way you can adjust the difficulty settings on your habit change is using tools. So I love apps like Freedom or Opal to block distracting apps and sites, and my favorite physical tool I have is an actual timer I keep on my desk. Again, the best approach to habit change doesn't say that you shouldn't ever do the harmful things that you enjoy doing. It's just about trying to do them less so they harm you less, and replace them with more helpful things that hopefully you enjoy doing. Speaking of difficulty settings, changing your habits is hard. You're literally rewiring your brain on a physical level, and your brain is wired to resist rewiring. So don't beat yourself up if you're having a hard time making changes. There's nothing wrong with you, it's just the challenge is part of the transformation into the person you want to become. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And if your goals were easy to achieve, then they just simply wouldn't be meaningful to you. One of the most destructive habits you can have is using too much cheap dopamine. In this video right here, I explain what cheap dopamine is, why it could be a problem for you, and strategies you can use to do something about it.